Sketching with color pencils today. I'm doing the drawings first using pencil on this brown sketch paper. These are more clothing studies. I decided to work on drawing women and their clothes. Last time I did some male sketches instead. I am using reference for poses and clothes, otherwise it wouldn't be a study, but I'm not trying to copy it 100%. I am creating my own characters as I go along. Usually I draw men more, I just enjoy drawing them, but I also try to practice women, so both skills get progressively better. I think part of the reason why I draw more men is because I find them harder to draw. It's the muscles and the anatomy. I find they can look easily like a sack of potatoes if I don't pay attention, but that's just my personal experience and preference. For the women, I find that I tend to make them unhealthily skinny, so I intend to fix that. You can see it on this first drawing. I tried, after laying down most of the drawing, to give her thicker waist than what I drew initially, but she still looks a bit lanky. I also made her neck very long. I seem to draw very long necks. It's something else I am trying to work on. I just need to make some studies focusing on women's bodies next time. Since I made this for clothing studies, I try to focus mostly on the folds of the clothes, trying to pay attention to the places where the body pulls the fabric. Just trying to memorize certain tension points where the folds would show up, so I can recall them later when I am doing my own drawings from imagination. Places like the armpits and the chest, for example, they always pull the fabric and create folds. Depending on the fabric of the clothes, you can get thicker or smaller folds. So it's always useful to think about the type of fabric your character clothes is made of. Here are the 3 studies done. I had to move the paper this way to avoid the glare of the lamp on the video. This time I decided to color with the color pencils instead of the inks like last time. The inks and the markers were a mess for this paper, so I am switching to color pencils. I want the character on the left to be light-skinned. I started with the skin colors to see how it would look with color pencils, and since I saw that it was picking the color well, I decided to continue with the same material. If it hadn't painted the paper, I would have gone back to inks, or just not posted the end result if I felt it was too horrible. But since it seemed okay, I believed I could make it work with the pencils. I used white color for her skin, and I added some pink color in the cheeks and mouth, and also her hands. I used 2 blues for her shirt to try to show the shade. I like the look so far. I just added the color by lightly drawing on top, doing hatching lines. I'm not very comfortable with these materials, so I just wanted to test it slowly. Since I liked the result, I decided to keep going with this technique. I try not to press too hard to not get a solid color on the paper. I think it makes it more pretty when there's soft gradations in the color instead. At the end, I added definition by outlining the character in a few places, like the eyes, the hair, just what I felt were the main lines. On this second character, I used red browns for her skin tone, and I left parts of the paper color as her skin highlights. I just think she came out a bit loop-sided, but I like the way the outfit turned out. For this sketch, I am going for a brown skin tone, but slightly lighter than the paper, so I used the color pencils to color the lightest skin tone, and I let the brown of the paper act as the mid-tone. In my mind, this character is a Brazilian, so I gave her a Brazil tank top. I just like Brazil. I've never been there, but I like it. I used 2 different greens to recreate the shading, like I did for the first blue shirt. I did the same for the jean shorts, and this time I decided to outline using the darkest blue. The hair is dark brown. I left the color of the paper act as the highlight color. I used black for the dark areas and to outline the rest of the character. Color pencils always have that weird airy look to me, but I guess I just have to lean into it. I just don't think I can make it work if I start adding really dark shades. In general, I enjoyed sketching with them, and I think I can practice more with them, but I always prefer to paint with tempera or gouache. Just move the drawing to the side so you could see the first sketch without the glare.